Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a mid-season review with a very special guest. It's Tom from the channel HxndBrake. So go and subscribe to him. The link will be down in the description. And it's also on the channel section of the channel page. So let's get straight in to today's video as we review the season so far. Hi Tom, how are you?
Not bad, thanks.
Should we just get straight into it with the first...
Yeah, why not?
I've called this section talking points. If you get it, it's from Veloce. Anyway, I'm speaking waffle. Let's start with the best race so far. And what's the best race for you so far?
Honestly, I'd say Bahrain, because the fight between Verstappen and Hamilton was absolutely insane, in my opinion. And how close we were coming to each other. Final few laps had everybody on the edge of their seat.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy with like Verstappen getting past Hamilton but then running wide and him having to give the place back. It was definitely a mad race. And
not what I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like throughout the race everyone kind of expected Verstappen to win and kind of defend towards the end, but the fact that he had to give the place back when he passed Hamilton, it's kind of bit of a shame that he only got second, but he got second, so it's still pretty decent.
I just have to ask, who did you want to win in that fight, in that battle?
I wanted Verstappen to win, and I want Verstappen to win the whole season and the championship.
Same. Hamilton has too many wins.
I mean,
at this point. Give someone else one. I
mean, it's quite funny because he said when Vettel got booed on the podium when he had 3 or 4 world championships in a row, Hamilton said, "Oh, I think everyone's booing because they find it boring that the same person's winning all the time." And then he just went and won all the time. So a bit
contradicting exactly what he was saying.
I know, and if you want to see a hypocrite Hamilton video, maybe we'll do that. Who knows? But
that's actually an amazing idea.
Yeah. But for
clickbait you could get off that.
I know, exactly. It's an amazing idea. If you want that, like this video right now. But again, for me, I think one of the best races is Hungary. Like, just that turn 1. How Bottas hit Norris and Norris went into Verstappen and there was like, I don't know, 5 cars or 4 cars out on the first lap.
Yeah.
I think as the best lap so far, that's got to be it, lap 1 of Hungary.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But all the races have been pretty decent so far.
Was it really a best lap or was it a most unexpected lap if everybody got taken out?
Yeah, probably most unexpected lap. I mean, I definitely pin the blame on Bottas. And yeah, it was definitely mad that, and also Stroll was causing some incident, how he broke late and locked up into Leclerc. So there was mainly 2 drivers. Yeah.
Definitely a crazy race.
Yeah. I mean, that just kind of describes the whole season. It's probably been the best season I've ever watched because there's so many stuff happening. You actually have a proper title battle instead of just Hamilton going off and winning. You've got
someone to contend him.
Exactly, and that's what
Hamilton actually has challenged this season.
And also the whole Mercedes team have challenged this season. But would you say there's been a worst race?
So, obviously, Hungarian GP didn't go too well. But for me, it's the British GP, or at Silverstone specifically. Because that corner, with Hamilton trying to take the inside, but just failing, managing to clip only a little touch, but it was enough to send Verstappen straight off. Mad. It was reported that he hit 51 G, so 51 times the Earth's gravitational pull.
I mean, I definitely pin all the blame on Hamilton for that incident, and I think he got off quite lightly, to be honest.
considering he still won with the penalty, and
I mean, I think
Verstappen having to watch the award ceremony from the hospital. It's amazing he died, because upwards of like 6 to 9 G can kill someone, and he was at 51.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely incredible that Hamilton got off so lightly, and the fact that Verstappen had to go to hospital. It's quite scary, almost.
Doesn't look like as big of a crash, but when you realise the forces he was encountering when he was going into that barrier.
Yeah. I mean, he was going like 190 miles per hour.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely do think...
I think it was Verstappen taking the outside and Hamilton trying to pull the inside, but not backing off when he saw Verstappen go into the inside, so he clipped. So Hamilton pushed forwards, clipped the tyre, something along the lines of that.
Yeah, I mean, Hamilton definitely did go a bit wide of the apex. I mean, when I was playing the F1 game yesterday, I did kind of test it, and the racing line is over the apex, but Hamilton was so wide of that apex compared to everyone else, and Verstappen did leave him enough room. He even steered a bit left to give Hamilton even more room than was already there.
Yeah.
So a bit of a shame. I think also the race after that, I didn't really watch it all. I could have done, but then Leclerc leading and then Hamilton getting it back. I think you could definitely say change worst race to boring race, and Britain...
Confusing race.
Yeah, confusing race. But then the best overtake of the season so far. There's been so many, and I can't remember all the overtakes. Can you remember any of the overtakes?
Not really.
I mean, in my video, which was after the Bahrain GP on Yuki Tsunoda, you can go watch it, I did definitely say he was late on the brakes and he was a bit like Daniel Ricciardo. So, and I just still remember that in Yuki Tsunoda's...
Yeah, I agree with you.
In his first Formula 1 race, he was late on the brakes overtaking cars and got 7th, I think, in that race. So I would probably have to say best overtaking all the way back at the start of the season with the Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah.
And now the best...
particularly sticks out in my mind as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's the only one I can remember.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say is the best moment then?
The best moment?
This could be on or off track.
On or off track? There's so many, it's hard to put your name finger on one.
I mean, I remember getting ready to record all these videos of them unveiling the liveries for the season, and that's got to be a pretty epic moment because you're so tense just watching the live stream and you're like, what's the car gonna look like, what's it gonna look like, and then it's there. And sometimes you might be a little bit disappointed, but sometimes you might think, wow, that's an epic livery, like Alfa Romeo for me. I think that was an epic livery, so that's got to be quite an intense moment, you might say.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think on track best moment, Norris podiums, they were pretty awesome. But then
agreed.
Also Ocon's winning the last race at Hungary. That must be a best moment for the whole team, for Ocon himself and for the fans.
Yeah.
And speaking of waiting for liveries, what's your best livery of the season so far?
I know it's kind of old school and it stayed exactly the same every single year for as long as I've been watching F1, or at least majority the same. I have a special place in my heart for the Red Bull livery.
Yeah.
Nothing beats it, in my opinion. There are good ones, but nothing beats it.
I mean, they definitely...
For me, at least.
They did gloss liveries before, and then in 2016 they changed it to matte livery, and that was definitely the right decision in my opinion. It looks awesome matte.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, I definitely have said this before, and other fans might say this, that it's a bit boring, the livery.
It does get old.
But then in like 20 years' time, you're looking back and you think that's a classic. How can they ever change it? It's like Ferrari. How can they ever change out of red? And we don't really complain about the Ferrari red livery getting old.
Exactly. But I can understand it getting old. I just think it looks amazing in matte.
It does. It looks incredible. I do think they need to change it maybe in like 3 to 5 years' time.
It needs an update.
Yeah, an update. There you go. But a best livery for me was the McLaren special livery at Monaco. That Gulf livery with the duck blue and the orange just looked awesome. Who would you say is the best driver of the season?
Verstappen, because of all the things he's been through at Silverstone. And the way he's so young, or so much younger than Lewis Hamilton, but he's like managing to really, with so much less experience than him, really fight back.
Yeah.
Towards his reign, I could say.
I mean, I definitely think
Lewis Hamilton has competition now. He's creating competition for Lewis Hamilton and makes the races so much more interesting instead of Hamilton being off in the front with no one there.
And that's why I think this is one of the best seasons ever, because there's a challenge, there's an actual title battle, and instead of just, as you said, Hamilton winning up front, it's almost like a proper rivalry, like the Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost rivalry, Niki Lauda and James Hunt rivalry, Mika Hakkinen, Michael Schumacher, all these rivalries. It almost feels like there's a proper another rivalry that can go down in the history books now.
Yeah.
But personally,
something interesting.
Yeah, something very interesting. And personally, for me, my favourite driver is Lando Norris. 3 podiums this year. He's had 4 in F1 altogether, and he's just been on it all the time, and really, really good driver, and he's a really great personality as well. So
yeah, I get that with Norris. He's like, I feel like McLaren, people said this before, is like the funny team, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, it's now also becoming one of the good teams. And it's really impressive.
That's what's great about McLaren is that they've got, well, Ricciardo, who is known as like the biggest joker in F1 with his massive smile and everything. And you've got 2 really great personalities in a team which is doing so well, and yeah, really good job for them.
Definitely. I think I agree with you more than Verstappen and Lando Norris. Where he's almost come out of nowhere into being really quite high up.
Yeah, definitely. And when I say like best driver, yes, you can sort of like list the top 2 or 3, but I kind of like to think of people that have come up and actually not stayed at the top, but have come up from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got to go with Norris, because he was so lucky for the last 2 seasons, and he's come up and scored 4 total podiums in F1, so really good job, Lando.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But he's so good on like his, like, I'd say advertisement, what he does on YouTube gets so much more attraction to the team and probably generates a lot of money.
And his whole quadrant team.
Not to mention it provides us free content.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great seeing him doing quadrant, getting other F1 YouTubers involved and other YouTubers in general.
Getting them a name for themselves.
Yeah, it's like, I so wish I was one of them, being a YouTuber, like, in the same, like, team as Lando Norris, an F1 driver. That's just so epic.
Yeah.
So, on and off track, I think the best driver is Norris for me.
Yeah, off track is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. But then, again, on and off track, who's the worst driver? I wonder who it's going to be.
His name begins with an M and he's a pay driver. Any guesses?
Any guesses, everyone? Comment down below. Who's the worst driver in Formula 1?
I'll give you even more of a hint. He drives a Haas.
He drives a Haas. I think it's Mazepin.
No surprise there.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Only him because of Daddy's money.
Exactly. And off track as well, he's just... we won't talk about his off track... Questionable things, but even on track, he's a really dangerous driver. I mean, just look at...
It's a good job he's in last and not in the middle of the grid.
Yeah, I know, right? And
I hate to think what would happen if he started, like, straight in the middle.
He would probably... A lot more crashes. I mean, I did make a compilation of one point, which I was going to put on YouTube, about all his spins, because in, like, his first few races in pre-season testing, he had more spins than Hamilton has spun in his entire F1 career.
Really? I didn't know that. That's absolutely insane.
I think I'm being a bit sarcastic, if I'm honest. Probably he hasn't.
Yeah.
But Mazepin spins a lot.
Yeah. The day that he gets on pole is the day that we will cry and F1 will be ruined.
There you go. There you go. But then, in the top 10, out of the top 10 drivers, who would you say is the worst?
Out of the top 10? Oh, Ricardo.
Yeah.
I like the guy, but at least for this season. And he's not really a bad driver, he just hasn't quite been on it this season.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go as far as to say he's the worst, but he's just not quite how he was performing in previous seasons.
I think he's definitely stepped down from previous seasons. He's 9th in the constructors, and yeah, for McLaren, who's kind of top 3, top 4 team, I think he definitely needs to step up his game a bit more. I mean, Gasly, who's in an AlphaTauri, is ahead of him in the driver's standing, so Ricardo has had a bit of bad luck this season, and it is his first time in McLaren in a new team, so yeah.
He's still an amazing driver.
Oh,
one of the best on the grid. And off-grid, off-track, one of the best there.
I mean, how could you ever get rid of him?
Yeah. It's just, on track, he hasn't been quite how we're used to seeing him.
Exactly, and yeah, that's kind of where I stand with worst driver / not doing as well as I think they should drive.
I think it's a bit harsh to label it worst driver.
Yeah.
But performing, I feel like it's performing how we least expected.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. But now going on to the actual teams themselves and how each team has performed.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at
the standings, yeah. No surprise to see Mercedes and Red Bull.
Yeah, exactly. But what are the surprises for you with the standings? Because for me, it's almost Williams. Because
Williams and McLaren for me.
Yeah. And maybe Aston Martin as well for me. But with Williams,
Aston Martin, yeah.
I expected Williams to be in 9th and Alfa Romeo to be in 8th. Because as a whole, Alfa Romeo just, to me, have seemed to be a little bit better this season and getting some solid kind of points or just outside of the points. But then Williams at Hungary got 7th and 8th, I think. So it is quite a surprise that Williams are in 8th. I feel like they should be 9th. But, I mean, for them, 8th must feel like a massive win for them. At Hungary, them getting points from both drivers, that must have felt like a massive win for them. So, well done, Williams.
The biggest surprise. I think for me, it's the fact that Alfa Romeo are behind Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, Haas, they're in 10th, but that's no surprise there. They're getting loads of money and are probably really happy and rich off of it.
Yeah.
But they knew that they were going to be all the way down at the bottom of the grid.
I mean, you just have to look at the past 2 seasons. But you mentioned McLaren. McLaren are in 4th.
With Lando Norris being in 3rd.
In the drivers, yeah. I mean, with 4th in the constructors for me, and Ferrari's in third. I almost feel like they should be swapped around, like McLaren in third and Ferrari in fourth. But Ferrari, they've kind of, as a whole team with both drivers, they're consistently sort of just inside the points. But then with McLaren, one driver's like top end of points, but then one driver's sort of bottom end of points or not in the points at all.
Middle.
So, yeah. So, not really a huge surprise for me, but...
Do you think Ricciardo's holding the team back at all?
I think he's not as performing as well as he has done in the past, so I think he kind of needs to step up his game, and but it is a new team for him, so he needs to get used to that, so yeah.
But the big question is, do you think that they would be doing better if Sainz was in McLaren still?
Well, I mean, last year with Norris and Sainz, they were doing so good as a team. So yeah, I definitely do think they'll be doing a bit better.
Yeah.
But then maybe that's why Ferrari are doing so much better. They finished 6th last year and they're now 3rd. So maybe Sainz has moved to Ferrari and brought the team up.
Yeah, I feel like it's that way.
That's the end of part 1. If you want to see part 2, go over to Tom's channel. The link is in the description below. Really good conversation with Tom, so go and watch it. Part 2 is very good.